Am I cheating? Maybe. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Yay! Okay, this is the one I wanted. All right, so first roll. Ah, so excited. I'm stuck in a time loop, and the only way out is to read my entire TBR. Welcome, everybody, to the Frostbound Rift, my brand new TBR game inspired by the Dungeons & Book Dragons readathon. I basically turned a Dungeons & Dragons campaign into a TBR game, and we have this bad boy. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go over the rules, the instructions, how to play, and then we're finally gonna get to play this bad boy. Also, if you guys want any of the links, I'm going to put them down below in case you guys want to play your own Dungeons & Dragons campaign TBR game. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I can't take full credit for this. To be honest, I was inspired by multiple people across the internet. So some of the people that deeply inspired this TBR game is two of my cyber besties, which is Rochelle from Good Morning Dreamer, and also the Final Girl TBR game that was created by Bo from Bo's Books. Also, I was heavily inspired, like deeply inspired when it comes to the cards and how am I going to break out of this time loop. And the person that inspired me with creating this method of how we're gonna break free from this time loop and beat the campaign is because of Library Unbounded's Lord of the Reeds TBR game. The way that she does her cards and her collections is what inspired me to do that as well. So although my prompts are very different and I have more prompts versus just standard prompts, the fact that I'm collecting the cards is deeply inspired by Lord of the Reeds. Definitely gonna be linking all those channels down below so you can check them out because like I said, I got inspired by these people. Yes, my TBR game is very different from them. However, you can definitely see a lot of where the inspiration is coming from. So take a look at their channels and their TBR games because if you like mine, more than likely you're gonna like theirs too. So let's get into it. What is the story behind the Frostbound Rift, aka my very first campaign? We are a group of adventurers. We are 5 adventurers in total. All of these characters are characters that I actually do play in my like real life Dungeons & Dragons games, as well as characters that my fiance has played, except for one very fictional character that I have not played at all or anybody else has played, but we'll get to that. Or 2, I should say. So first, let me introduce you to our characters. All of these adventures are different. They each have their own perks and their own little quirks that makes them very unique. Starting off with Seraphine Belladonna. Now, Seraphine Belladonna is inspired by my high elf bard that I'm currently playing as in my current campaign. And she is basically known across the realms as the most beautiful burlesque dancer in the world. And then next we have Tanuki Coon. Now, Tanuki Coon is a raccoon, or if you want to call him a raken or whatever the other D&D races are for raccoons, but basically he's a raccoon rogue, right? He has very sticky fingers, and if you leave anything out, chances are he's gonna steal it. Next, we have Moscow Mule. Now, this is inspired by another one of my fiance's characters. This is the character that he was playing before, and Moscow Mule is a half-elf druid who doesn't really like to fight. He's sort of a pacifist, but he's also drunk most of the time. So he's in these constant cycles of being drunk and going into his own little escapades. Next, we have Selena Belladonna, and that is Seraphine's younger cousin. She is a high elf sorceress, and she is slightly crazy because she came home one day when she graduated and was officially about to reach adulthood, and she came home and her family was unalived. Because of her trauma, she took it as I have to be a child and I can never grow up because she associates adulthood with trauma. So she acts like a child even though she is older. And she is slightly insane and she has a wild burst of magic where certain things will trigger her and she goes crazy and does crazy things. And then lastly but not least, we have my other character that is completely new for this, just strictly for this campaign, and his name is Lysandros Vale. Now Lysandros Vale is a fallen Isomar. I don't even know how to say this race, but Isomar, and he is a divination cleric, so he can basically see the future, and being a cleric, obviously also the healer. So he basically sees fragments and fractures in this rift that shouldn't exist. So we have these 5 adventures, right? Yet something is wrong. Someone feels like they're missing. There should be a 6th member. He is a rogue with silver eyes and a seductive smile, and his name is Nox Moros. No one remembers when he vanished. Only the world began to repeat itself after he was gone. Now the party is trapped in a time loop, forced to retrace their steps and complete it over and over again, and searching for that companion that was swallowed by the Frostbound Rift. Your goal is simple: collect every fragment to piece the story together, break the curse, bring Nox home, and then the campaign will be complete. Okay, so how do you play the Frostbound Rift? The first thing that you're going to want to do is roll a d20 that's going to determine which player we're going to be playing as. I have 5 different characters, and they all have their own perks, starting with Selena. So Selena's perk is Wild Inspiration, since she has wild magic. Once per loop, I am able to gain 1 inspiration point. What's an inspiration point? It basically allows me to swap out any book on any standard prompt and swap it out for a book that I actually want to read, yet I'm still able to collect that card at the very end of the month. Next we have, and his perk is called Threads of Fate. Basically, when I land on a standard prompt space, I'm able to look at the top 3 standard prompt cards and choose one to resolve, and then shuffle the others back into the deck. So I'm able to choose from the top 3 cards and determine which prompt I want to take and read. Next we have Tanuki-kun, our raccoon rogue, and his perk is Sticky Fingers. So once per loop, after passing a loot space, I may immediately draw a loot card. So I don't even have to land on the loot space. I could literally just pass by it and grab a loot card. The next companion is Moscow Mule, our half-elf drunk druid, and his perk is Drunken Resilience. So because he tends to drink a lot, we tend to have to take short rests a lot. So basically, whenever I pass the short rest space, I must stop immediately and draw a short rest card. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is Seraphine Belladonna, and her perk is Charmed Performance. Once per loop, I may replace any prompt I dislike with the prompt from a different deck of your choice and be able to collect a card regardless. So kind of like Selena's inspiration point. Once we have the player that we're going to be playing as, we are able to start moving through the board. The way that we move through the board is to roll a die. You can start off with a d12, or if you want more prompts, you can start off with a d4, d6, whatever you want. You roll that, and that determines how many places we're gonna move across the board. So if we roll a 5, we're gonna move 5 spaces. Basically, you just read the books that are tied to those spaces, and if I land on a portal space, which looks like this, I'm able to teleport to the next portal on the board. However, if I'm on the last portal and there is no further portal, I have to go back 1. So each of these cards have little pieces of the story that we are missing. And once we collect all of the cards, well, guess what? We have the whole story put together. So we'll know how to break free from the time loop because we'll have all our information and all of our knowledge and all of our memories intact. What are these types of cards that we have to collect? Number 1 is the standard prompt cards. These are the empty spaces on the boards, and they basically just contain standard prompts that you would find in any TBR jar. Next, we have the side quest cards. These are going to be what keeps the narrative going. This is where you're going to have the most crucial pieces of information and memory. And it's also going to be prompts that are associated with that location. So for example, in the Graveyard of the Damned, we might get a card that says, read a book about a haunting. So obviously, because we're in the Graveyard of the Damned, that covers the horror genre, and then we're going to be reading one of those prompts. Next, we have loot cards. So what are loot cards? They're basically rewards. So it gives us advantages, swaps, and perks. Next, we have the monster encounter cards. Now, these are challenge cards. You can get anything from read the longest book in your TBR to the lowest rated book in your TBR. So obviously it has to be a challenge since they are monster encounters. Next we have random encounter cards, and these are random little prompts. So this could be anywhere between like, quick think of a number 1 through 10. Let's say you think of number 8, you go to your bookshelf, count to 8, and then grab the 8th book on your list. Little random like things that you have to stop, drop, and roll, and random moments, random encounters to determine whatever you're gonna read next. Next we have the short rest cards, and these are basically, they're not prompts, but they are basically designated to slow the pace, offer perks if necessary, basically just so you can take the time to relax and perhaps have some advantages that you can use later on in the board. And then lastly, we have the time loop cards. So once we get to the very end of the loop, we are going to take a time loop card, and it determines whether it was a lucky loop, which means that we get a perk, or a unlucky loop, which means that we're going to get some sort of challenge. Now, last but not least, since we're talking about pretty much all the spaces on the board, the last thing that we have that do not have cards are location prompts. Location prompts are basically look like this. They're going to have a photo on it and a map. When I land on those, I don't necessarily have to grab a card. I can grab a standard prompt if I want to, but if I don't want to, I just have to read a book from the genre that location is associated with. Which brings us to locations! Yay! So there are 6 different locations on the game board, and each location is associated with various genres. So number 1, we have Campfire Village. In Campfire Village, it literally just covers the cozy genres. So it could be cozy fantasy, cozy mystery, cozy horror, etc., etc. As long as it's cozy, it's gonna fit into Campfire Village. The next location that we have is the Desert of the Unknown, and that basically is going to be the thriller and mystery genres. After that, we have Moonlight Castle, which consists of historical fiction, literary fiction, and contemporary fiction. After that, we have the Graveyard of the Damned, which is probably going to be my favorite place to be, and that is none other than horror. After that, we have the Romantasy, which is pretty self-explanatory. This is going to be fantasy romance or romantasy and romance. And then lastly, we have the Frostbound Rift, and this is where our high fantasy and sci-fi novels are going to come from. So those are the locations and the genres associated with them. We're going to start at the very beginning, and then we're going to get to the very end every single month. And then once we get to the end, we hit the time loop and time restarts. So how do you win the campaign? I kind of covered this already, but basically I have to collect every fragmented piece of memory, aka every single card. Once we collect all those fragments, then and only then will the final boss reveal himself. If we defeat the boss, then the time loop is broken. However, if we fail, the Frostbound Rift will wait patiently for us to try again. So that is how you play my Dungeons & Book Dragons campaign. TBR game, the Frostbound Rift. Now that you know the rules, let's go ahead and actually play the damn thing. Welcome to the game board. So as you can see here, you might see a few glares, I apologize. So we have our game board, and then we have our locations. So we have Campfire Village, Desert of the Unknown, Moonlight Castle, Graveyard of the Damned, the Romantasy, and the Frostbound Rift. And so here's our game board. Basically what we have to do is we have to make it from the very beginning at the start all the way to the end, and then we will grab a time loop card, which are right over there. So the goal is to get from here to here every single month. And I can do that by rolling whatever die I want. I think for this specific one, for the first month of the year, we are going to do a D12, which is this bad boy right here. And so first, we got to roll a D20 to determine which of our companions we are going to play as. Okay, so first we're going to roll to determine who we're going to be playing as for this very first loop. We rolled a 18, yes, which means that I get to play as Seraphine. So excited. Okay, but since unfortunately we do not have a token for her, I don't have a mini of her, I'm gonna have to use a different mini. So let me grab a random mini. So I'm gonna use one of Selena's minis. This isn't the main mini that I used for Selena. This is another backup one because she's a lot bigger. So we're gonna use her to go through the board, but just know that this is Seraphine, not Selena. Now that that is done, let's roll our D12. All right, so first roll. Ah, so excited. A 12. Oh my gosh, that's cool. Okay, it's gonna be a good year. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12.
Hey you guys, it's Editing Ivy here, begging Filming Ivy to stop counting out loud if she's gonna freestyle math like this, because honestly, it seems like the Frostbound Rift comes with some magical time distortion, because I literally skipped 3 numbers and didn't even blink.
And we have side quest. So a side quest for the Desert of the Unknown. So I'm gonna grab these cards here. These are all the side quests and I'm gonna shuffle them. So shuffle, 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 shuffle. And then we're gonna grab this one. Okay, so this is number 10. So it says, so this is a part of the side quest Desert of the Unknown collection. And it says, that night, as the campfire sputters, a long shadow rises from behind a dune. For a moment, its posture, its stance, its presence is perfectly familiar. Nox, you whisper his name. The shadow tilts its head like it hears you. Then it dissolves into dust. Lysandros grips your arm, trembling. He's not gone, he says. He's lost. The prompt is to read a thriller with a haunting or ominous atmosphere. All right, so we have our first card. And just so you guys know, in order for me to collect these cards, I need to read them that month. This is also very inspired by Library Unbounded's Lord of the Reeds game. So like I said, I'm not taking full credit for this. Definitely was inspired by her for this one, as well as other little things from other different TBR games. A ominous atmosphere. I think I'm gonna do The Last Time I Lied. So I'm gonna do this one by Riley Sager. So this one, we are following a girl that is attending a camp, right? And then I believe she goes, okay, so we are following these girls that go camping, right? Vivian, Natalie, Allison, and first-time camper Emma Davis, the youngest of the group. So they are basically playing games, and at the end of the night, Emma watches the other girls secretly escape. And then I believe they're never found again. And so now it's many years later, and then we're trying to figure out and piece together what happened to her friends. So that is what I'm gonna read for this one. Okay, so let's roll again. Ooh, okay, well, I guess we'll count that. That is a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a standard prompt. So on the unmarked ones, we get standard prompts, which look like this. Okay, it's Act 1, prompt number 3. Moscow notices tracks beside yours. Small, light, harmless. Maybe. And the prompt is to read a book with an animal companion or an animal on the cover. So the next one that we got was the footprints besides your own, and the prompt is to read a book with an animal companion or an animal on the cover. For that, I want to do, does a bee count as a animal companion? Let's do this one, The Twisted Dead by Darcy Coates. So this book, we are following our main character. So this is the second book in a series, or the third book actually, the third book in a series that I'm reading, and we are following our main character, Kira. And Kira is basically running through the woods, and she is being hunted by these people, and then she ends up, and she doesn't know why she's being hunted. She actually has no memory of who she is, what she's doing there. And she finds this church, right? This graveyard and this church. And then she takes refuge in the church. The pastor lets her stay there. And then she ends up renting out his cottage, which is where the graveyard's at. And then Kira discovers something about herself. She has the ability to see spirits. And now she wants to help them cross over so that they're not stuck here in this plane in the afterlife. So we are following Kira's adventures in this small town. This is a cozy horror as well. Okay, so next, let's go ahead and roll again. And we got a 2. So 1, 2, and that is a location prompt because this is Moonlight Castle. Moonlight Castle is all about literary fiction, contemporary fiction, historical fiction. So I have to read one of those genres in the location prompt. So I'm going to choose a literary fiction, and I'll show you what I'm going to pick. Now the next one that I landed on was the location card for Moonlight Castle, which is to read a historical fiction, contemporary fiction, literary fiction, and I guess it could even be a nonfiction. So for that one, I'm going to choose Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is a book that I never thought that I was going to read, but I basically watched over 50 videos of people recommending the best beginner-friendly literary fiction, and Normal People was one of them. So I'm going to read this one and see if I enjoy it. Okay, so now that we're out of the Desert of the Unknown, I'm going to remove these cards from here. And then I'm just gonna leave the Moonlight Castle cards up here. So let's roll again. And we got a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is another standard prompt. So shuffle, 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 shuffle. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. And we got Act 1, prompt number 3. A castle on the horizon. Oh, this is perfect. Literally, these standard prompts can literally be placed in any location. So how funny that we got the Moonlight Castle prompt here. So it says, a castle on the horizon. This is a part of the standard prompt collection. Moonlight Castle glows faintly, even though you're miles away. Prompt is to read a fantasy or book that you think will have a happily ever after. So let's go find that book and then we'll be right back. Next was to read a fantasy book that you think will have a happily ever after. Screw it, let's do Thornhedge. I think I'm gonna do Thornhedge, or should I do Hemlock and Silver? Yeah, let's do Hemlock and Silver. So this is a T. Kingfisher novel. This is Healer Anja regularly drinks poison, not to die but to save, seeking cures for those everyone else has given up on. So very interesting. Don't know. So that's a little short, brief synopsis. I don't really want to get too into it because I kind of want to go into this one blindly. And so I think I'm going to choose this one because I feel like, I've never read anything by T. Kingfisher. That is why I'm picking this one out, because I'm going to do a reading vlog where I do a taste test of him. So I'm going to pick this one out, but just in case this one doesn't have a happily ever after, I might also read Thornhedge. Now this, if I don't finish this one and I only got to 1, then you know what, I'm still gonna collect the card. But if I read one of these 2, am I cheating? Maybe. But if I read one of these 2, or if I read both, I get to collect the card. So this is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. So that's going to be another one that I plan. So we'll see. We'll see if I get to both of those. And now let's go ahead and roll again. Number 12. We got 12 again. Yay! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh no! A monster encounter! But it's okay because we can use Seraphine, use her perk whenever I want. So we're going to use that at the end if I don't like this monster encounter. But so let's shuffle these. Oh! Okay. Monster encounter. The first echo of his fall. So it says, you step into a clearing and freeze. A faint shimmer ripples in the air, replaying a glitchy memory. A man stumbling. Why did I say stumbling? A man stumbling, a flash of silver eyes, a scream cut off. The image collapses. No one speaks for a long moment. The challenge is to read the longest book on your physical TBR because some truths are heavy. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. So the next prompt that we got was a monster encounter, which was to read the longest book on your physical TBR because sometimes the truth is heavy. However, because of Seraphine's perk, I am able to replace any prompt that I dislike with a prompt from a different deck of my choice. So for that one, I'm going to do something fun and I'm going to shuffle these random encounter cards and basically do one of these. So I'm not looking, by the way. Okay, so random encounter early loop. This is card number 2. So I basically am able to collect both of these cards if I complete this one. So number 2 is the hour that happens twice. You check the sky, it's sunset. Then moments later, it's sunset again. Selena mutters a curse and resets her time scrying charm. It shows the same hour twice. Tanuki said, oop, that's not good. Prompt, close your eyes, step into your library, and grab a random book from your shelves. So we're not going into my library, but we are going to be prioritizing our TBR cart here. So I am going to move you this way. And then you guys, I think I'll just pick from here. Yay! Okay, this is the one I wanted. Okay, so this is Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. And basically, this book is about a girl that I believe she is exiled from the art world, and she's at her dead-end job, and then she basically starts taking on this hobby of taking pictures of random men that are ordinary looking and basically calling them models. And then from there, I don't know what happens. This is a literary fiction book. I started reading it at Barnes & Noble and I was really enjoying it. So I'm excited to pick this one up. Yay! So next, let's go ahead and number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Standard prompt. Okay, we'll do this one. Found notes. This is a part of Act 1. Prompt number 11. A scrap of paper blows by. You pick it up. The handwriting looks like yours. Prompt is to read a book that was in your TBR last year that you didn't get to. Oh, perfect. Now, next was to read a book that was in your TBR last year that you didn't get to. And for that, I'm going to do Carrie by Stephen King. This was in multiple TBRs last year, and I really want to read it. I haven't read anything by Stephen King, so we're going to try this out. If you guys do not know what Carrie is, if you guys do not know what this book is about, we're basically following a young girl named Carrie, and she lives in a very religious household with a psychotic mother. And then when she goes to school, she also doesn't get an escape because she's constantly being bullied by other people. And then she discovers that she has magical powers. She's like a witch, basically. And then all hell breaks loose from there. That's what I'm going to read for that prompt. Okay, so lastly, we are at the time loop. So I'm going to roll one more time. Doesn't matter what we get to. And we have officially gone through our time loop. And we get to pick a time loop card. So this is going to determine if it was a lucky loop or unlucky loop. So we have 5 lucky loops potentials. So it could be rewards for rewards. And then we have 5 unlucky loops. Lucky loop! Yay! A crack in fate. So this is a part of the time loop card collection that says the air hums differently this time. Something gives. Reward is to remove one prompt you didn't want to read. Keep the card and add it to your collection anyway. To be honest, I don't want to take anything away because we can use Seraphine to replace a prompt. And because we only have 5 prompts, it doesn't matter. So I'm not going to be using this one. So I'm going to put this one back and we're going to shuffle again and see what we get. Because I don't think we're going to use that one. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Lucky loops. The world bends, not breaks around you. Oh, I got a lucky loop twice. Complete 1 extra prompt of your choice and add 2 cards to your collection instead of 1. Complete 1 extra prompt of your choice and add 2 cards to your collection. Interesting. Okay. So let's see, what is a prompt? Should I look through? Let's look through the graveyard of the damned prompts. I think I'm gonna grab, or which one do I want? What am I in the mood to read? Actually, let's do Moonlight Castle. I'm gonna do 2 Moonlight Castle prompts. And I think we can collect both of these, but only having to do 1 prompt. So I can either read a book where a character seeks knowledge, or I could read a story with parallel worlds, alternate timelines, or what ifs. Definitely going with this one. This is a sci-fi pick. Interesting that it's in Moonlight Castle, but whatever. So I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to be reading the prompt for this one, but I can complete both cards with just this one prompt. Okay, so lastly, we got the lucky loop, and I am able to complete one extra prompt of your choice and add 2 cards to your collection instead of 1. So for that, I chose 2 cards from the Moonlight Castle side quests, and the 2 prompts were to either read a story with parallel worlds, alternate timelines, or what ifs, or to read a book where a character seeks knowledge. And for this one, I chose to read a story with parallel worlds, alternate timelines, or what ifs. And for that, I'm going to be reading, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Okay, Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This has been on my shelf for years, okay? Years, you guys. And I have not read it. All I know is that this is about we're following our main character, and she basically goes out with her friends one night, I believe, and then we see her at the end of the night have the option to make one of 2 choices. She can either go home with her ex-boyfriend, or she can go back home with her friends. So, and then that's when the timelines drift, and we follow one timeline where she goes with her ex and another one where she goes back with her friends, and how vastly different one little choice in life can completely change everything else. So I'm very excited for this. I feel like this is going to have a lot of commentary on, the butterfly effect and just how small choices can literally determine big things in your future. And so I'm excited for this. Yeah, that's basically it, you guys. We have a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books that we have to read during the month of January. I'm so excited for this, you guys. So this is my very first TBR, my TBR of January. If you guys enjoyed it, I hope you guys hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell to be notified when I post, and make sure to like this and make sure to follow. Make sure that you subscribe if you want to continue on this campaign journey with me. Like I said, I'll also have the links if you want to play your own version of this down below, in case you want to follow this, in case you want to play this TBR game for yourself. I just ask that you please tag me because I would love to see your videos. Please, please, please. Anyways, you guys, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!